spins and it spins and it spins.
Spinning.
And you're live.
Oh, we made it, buddy.
Boom.
We're live.
And the tweet is out.
How about
How about?
You doing good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so wild they don't play till Monday.
I know.
Feels like forever.
I know. It does.
But I leave Sunday, so I guess it'll feel the same for me in terms
That's
of,
true. Oh, I didn't think about that. You're going to be gone.
Yeah. I leave Sunday, come back
We're going to have to
Tuesday.
figure out our Monday morning. Oh, I guess come back Tuesday. We're going to figure. When do you fly back? This should probably be a
9:30
conversation
a.m.
that's not
yeah,
for the live show.
Yeah,
We'll
exactly.
figure it out.
I'm just going to have to do post-game. But we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. God, this blows. All right. Let's dive. Yeah.
Well, you'll be excited if they win.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have some new thoughts on that.
Oh, good. Good. All right. Let's dive in.
All right.
Hello, everybody. We love you more than anything in the world. Thank you. All right. Ready?
Yes.
Hey, hello. It is the Go Birds podcast presented by the Bet Park Sportsbook Casino app. Day 4 of the Daily Pod.
Day 4.
How you doing, pal?
Doing good.
Yeah.
Pumped.
Pumped? You really pumped? Are you pumped?
Yeah, because practice starts today.
Oh.
Like Sirianni talks, Jalen talks. We'll get the locker room. They have a walkthrough. Little bit of an interesting decision, maybe.
Maybe practice? Guys
Yeah,
could use a
I
little
don't- I don't
practice.
know.
I don't know.
I
It
mean,
seems
at
like
this
a
point-
lackadaisical.
at this
Javon
point, it
Hargrave
is what it
is
is.
seeming to be prophetic with the
Yeah, so-
super light practices.
I can't remember if we talked about the Hargrave thing, but I guess Slay talked about it on his pod.
I didn't. Shock. Slay talked.
Yeah,
Great.
and
You're just
I-
what we
I
need.
haven't heard
Darius
the-
Slay piping up again.
Well, Goedert talked too. We should talk about that.
No, we talked about the morning show. We'll get
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
But Slay kind of like, I haven't heard the whole thing, so maybe I shouldn't comment on what he said. But it sounded like he basically said my opinion on it, which is like, I think both work. You know, like the Eagles have won a lot of games with their style. Like for Hargrave to say, we work really hard over here and it's more chill over there, like what if the Niners won? So I think that there's just two different approaches to it. And the Niners are better right now, so it's easy to say, you know, this like that how like the Eagles need to practice harder. Look what the Niners do. But the Eagles have been better than the Niners since Sirianni got to Philadelphia. So I don't think there is a right or wrong answer.
Have
like,
they been better?
well, they've been to the Super Bowl, the Niners.
They were in the Super Bowl.
I'm saying
years
since Sirianni.
Oh,
Yeah,
so-
over the last 3
well,
years.
so, I mean, but you could argue that would be like if they get to there this year. I mean, they got to 2 championship games, right? Were they in the championship game back-to-back years?
I don't think so. Tucker, you know?
2 years ago, did they? I
I
don't
gotta
know.
look.
The
There was
Buccaneers.
the Bucs and the
beat the
no.
Chiefs.
That was 2020. 2021 was Rams.
Rams, Bengals. Yes.
Yeah.
So the Niners, didn't they play the Rams in the playoffs that year?
So San Francisco 2021, tremendous podcasting right now.
That was great.
Yes, they lost the conference championship.
So
So-
they've been to 2 conference championships in 2 years, and so you could
Right.
argue that's actually better than the Super Bowl
You could
and
argue that's
one
better.
playoff.
You could argue that's better. You
Okay.
could. But like my point is, it's not like one's. They're mostly even. Is most.
Would you say in Sirianni's lifetime as head coach?
yes. In Sirianni's lifetime as a head coach. Well, that is.
I know.
Yeah. I just think this idea like they need to copy the Niners way, and
No,
I just
I know.
disagree with that. I
Yeah.
think the way the Eagles do things work. It just isn't working over the last month. Or no, it's not even true. They're just not playing well over the last month.
Well, it's
And-
not
and-
working. Yeah.
And Goddard's quote kind of, I believe, backed up my opinion, which is that this is the players and not the coaches.
Okay. So you're talking about a separate Goddard coach. So there's multiple Goddard.
Multiple Goddard.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're not talking.
Okay. I thought you were talking about the one that is actually people are talking about a lot.
No,
we're talking about both, but I
Yeah.
mean, like, first and foremost, so we didn't really talk much about Goddard to begin with.
Let's
The
get
Goddard
right
comes
into
out after the game on Sunday,
Yeah.
and we are going to get to a certain
Washed up coach.
the best coach. In fact, the 2 best coaches maybe for our lifetime, both
So I
hit
actually
the
have a
market
quick
in
take
24
on that
hours.
before I forget, because I saw the morning poll.
I'll bring up Saban. Don't worry,
Okay,
we'll get
just
there.
remind me
And
of
we'll
my
not let you
take on him. Okay.
When I bring up Saban, I'm assuming you're going to remember that
I
I
hope
would take
so,
on him,
yeah.
right? Okay.
Tucker
So
reminded me.
Goddard after the game comes out and says, we clinched and we probably kind of coasted.
Right.
Then gets a chance with Joe and Hugh on WIP to kind of clarify his statements. Makes it worse.
Well,
basically says in his clarification, basically goes so far as to say that, well,
We
we
just
knew we
assumed
had
we'd
that
win.
gauntlet, and we assumed we'd beat those teams at the end of the season. Like those are bad teams that we would just beat.
right.
Like he just look, and if there's truth in it, honestly, the funny thing is, first of all, thanks for being honest, Al. Very kind.
Well,
But the thing is, like, the funny thing is that as wrong and as ridiculous and as absurd, and I would not let Dallas Goedert near a microphone again during this playoff run. But if I'm the Eagles, but it does provide a little hope. Like I look at it and say, like, all right, maybe that is the reason. Like maybe that's the reason, and maybe they can kind of turn it on a little bit.
So I think Goddard's assessment was like correct. If you think about it, like we could say it's not a good attitude for a player to have for sure, but I think he's right. Like they should have beaten those teams, and they were better than them.
Yeah, but you just don't say that.
I agree.
So.
You don't. I agree. It's not something you say
ever,
but it's the
ever.
Same. It's then like the age old. I don't know if it's age old actually, but it's then the debate of like, do we want these players to be honest, or do we want them just to say what's going to make the least attention? So
no, look, again, I appreciate that you said it. It was I mean, like I don't think Bob Lang.
No, I'm sure the
Eagles
PR
department.
It doesn't sound like Kelsey was super thrilled to hear.
Kelsey was not. Yeah, you're right.
Like, but I think he's probably correct. But to your point about hope, like we can make fun of the 0-0 thing. Fans can be like whatever. Bottom line is this team's hope of winning is that they take the field on Tampa on Monday and feel like it's a new season.
So
and they're like, this is what we've been working for. This is like the moment we've been preparing for.
That got it's right.
That's
and
what
it was
I'm
like,
saying.
all right, kind of, it's all about the playoffs for us.
Yeah,
and
that's the hope. That has to be the hope for them.
And I will say, so we did on the morning show today, did talk about reasons for positivity or trying to get some.
Yeah.
There's not a lot out there, I'll be honest with you. But for people,
Yeah.
I mean, and we talked about the line yesterday. I think the line steadily creeping. You open the BetParks app. It's -3 now. The Eagles are a 3-point favorite.
I really
want to
see if it gets a 3.5.
Yeah, it's moving that way.
Yeah.
But I do think to the point of what we're talking about here that this could provide some hope that it's like at least an excuse for why they've been playing so poorly. And it would be human nature. Athletes are humans. Ha, 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 my whole thing. But it's true. Like, so it would be human. I could understand a human action from these guys. But also this specific team they're playing, Richie kept making the point, and I think it's a good one, though. Like, when these guys go back and watch this tape, like, they beat the crap out of the Bucs in week 3. And it's a different team and all, but, like, they're watching that film. Like, they're like, look at us. Remember that? Like, we can be that good. And if you're trying to something you've said that I do agree with, I just, with this defense, it's hard to believe in it. But I do think this team desperately needs some spark of confidence,
Yes.
and if they can get something,
They need a reason to believe.
it could potentially snowball in a positive direction.
What I thought was interesting is rewatching the Tampa game. Remember, we talked about it yesterday, but like just how fresh they looked and excited. They were running like mostly the same plays.
They're running the ball,
right? And so
they were running the ball a lot.
Right,
How about
so
that? Run the ball effectively, boys.
What's funny is Tampa's one of the best run defenses in the NFL.
And they were going into the game, and everyone's like, can't run on Tampa.
And
they ran all over.
But it just shows I think the offensive line is probably skating a little bit in terms of blame. But like, if they can just dominate with their offensive line, like they'll win the game. I don't know if they will.
Can they pick up the blitz?
Yeah.
And
if you want to look at a glass half full, like what Goedert's saying is true approach, you could very easily go, they beat the Giants, they had that game in hand, and they coasted towards the end and got too close. The Cardinals game, the offense was great, defense was
we're not
terrible.
doing that.
Well, no. I'm saying this would be like and then the Giants game, they
just
say
didn't
they won
care.
it, they just didn't care.
Yeah.
Like that would be we haven't seen this team in a while. The issue is they lost to Seattle, they lost to
but the concept of they didn't clinch the one
seed
they coasted.
That's the problem.
Like you had a chance to even get a home playoff.
You didn't even
game,
clinch the division.
So I think all those things, like I can understand the Giants game, the last one where you are almost definitely going to be the 5 seed. You know Dallas is going to handle business. Like you can go in and saying like, yeah, anything can happen, but let's be real. And we're talking about football. I can understand going in without the motivation that you need to have to play football in the NFL at a high level. But outside of that game, no excuses for any of the others.
I
like
agree.
none of that BS, like, because you had your destiny in your hands.
Right. And so I think Goedert is probably, and Kelsey said this, correct me if you feel like I'm misinterpreting what he said, but he kind of was like when teams struggling, they like look for a reason.
That's exactly, he said, and he disliked that because he thought it took away from the real reasons.
Well,
that
and
were the
other
issue,
thing
the
he said,
execution.
yes. The other thing he said that I think is also reason for hope. And I certainly do this. Like I'm Mr. Roller Coaster. But like what Kelsey said is so true. That the difference between going like 1-4 and 4-1 is like
we saw it
5 or 6 plays each game.
This team if we thought they were going to lose games, they went. So
why we want to talk like Sirianni lost the locker room, the players quit on him, like Jalen's not a good leader, like all those things. What it really probably is, and I think this is what Kelsey was trying to say, is like if they just clean it up a little bit, like all that will correct itself. So I think the hope in what Goedert said is like maybe this team hasn't been super focused as they should be. Maybe this team has been just waiting for the playoffs. And if that's the case, like, we'll find out on Monday. I do think, and this is why the beginning of the game is so important. Like, if they can come out and play well, man, I really think they have a chance to roll. Because or I guess Richie's point via you, like, they've beat this team before. So if they can come out and score on their first drive and then get like a 3 and out, I think this team will be on the sideline like, here we go. Like, forget all that. Like, we're back in the playoffs. We're the Eagles. I mean, Jordan Melaz talked about it, playing Eagles football. I think that would be super important. So, yeah, I mean, that Goedert quote, not good. Yeah. The other one, I think, is like the quote of the year. Like, in terms
so you're talking about the Hurts quote, where he just kind of moves right off the coaching into Hurts?
Yeah, I think? He basically.
So it's hard. This is one of those quotes that it's hard to like. If you can't hear the quote, it's hard to kind of parse it.
Well,
out.
I'll say what I think the quote is, but we also put the interview.
No, I'm saying because it's like go back because like it's hard to like it's all about the way he pivots and the way he says it. Like, you need to actually hear it. Do you have the quote, like the actual quote? Because I do think the actual wording. I think the wording is important in terms of if we're gonna dissect.
Yeah,
this.
for sure. Okay, I could actually, Tucker. You tell me if this is a bad idea. I could hold it up to the microphone and play the video.
Probably that could work.
You think that's a good idea? Okay. All right. So here's
Tucker could do a little work and actually just insert.
Here's the Gilio question.
No, I don't want to do any work.
Yeah, have Tucker do some work.
All right. Here we.
Well, it wouldn't work for the live audience.
Not for the live. That's true. But then you can replace
it. But later, when I start doing it.
Okay. So here comes Goedert. Gilio's asking a question. Gilio cooking.
This is bad podcasting.
Well, it'll only be like a minute.
That better not be a minute. It better be like 5 seconds.
Hold on.
Is it like there?
Yeah, it's right here. It's right here. Okay. Right. So what he's saying, in my opinion, is the issue against New York, at least, was like Jalen didn't get them into the right looks, and that's kind of what I felt I saw when I was looking at it. Like, and we've agreed on this. There's no way the coaches don't have a plan against the blitz.
Yeah.
So I think what he's saying, and I don't think he's throwing Jalen under the bus or anything. I think he's just being honest. Like, the coaches are giving us the answers versus the blitz. Jalen.
But that doesn't mean they're the right answers. And this is something that Richie keeps bringing up, is the idea of like that, yes, they have something in there, but it is not the best way to deal with the blitz. Like, that is not the way that every team I've ever been on, Rich will say. And then Ross Tucker said the exact same thing where they're like, I've never seen blitz pick up like this. Like, yeah, I'm sure it's there. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand it philosophically as someone who played offensive line in Ross Tucker and someone who played fullback. Like, they're like, I don't understand what they're doing. So, like, yes, maybe Dallas Goedert's like, this is supposed to work because the coaches told us it's going to work. But, like, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. I don't think that quote tells us the full story.
Well, what he's saying is, like, the quarterback's not getting us in the right looks. That's what he's saying. And I also think this backs up what the whole A.J. Brown, like, we have to listen to the coaches thing. Like, Goedert's telling
But that's on Kelsey, too. You're saying Kelsey?
It's on Kelsey, too. Like,
I mean, why is Kelsey knows what the right
looks are? It's on the offensive line. Well, maybe Jalen's not listening to Kelsey. But, like, what's clear is Goedert is saying Goedert in that quote is saying this is a player issue. Like, Kelsey has said to you, this is an execution issue, right? And this is reason for hope. Like,
they're taking accountability, and I appreciate that.
No, but I think they're
yes,
telling
they
the
are.
truth.
They're saying it's on us.
They are taking accountability.
Yeah, they're taking accountability.
But I also think they're telling the truth. Like, that these coaches are giving, like, the coaches are putting or are giving them the answers. Okay, but
then coach it better.
Right,
then
I agree with that.
Like, so
I agree
again,
with
I think I think that it's not absolving the coaches.
No, it's
like,
not.
And again, on top of that, like, even if the coaches are giving them answers, like, they might not be the right answers. They might be a bad way to pick up the blitz.
I guess what I'm saying is there's like two different ways, or there's a lot of ways, but there's two main ways to judge this coaching staff. Sloppy football, teams not prepared, not playing hard, not coaching them correctly, like, right? And then there's the offensive scheme's broken. I'm not like absolving the coaches. I just fall far more into the
I know
left
you do,
side
but
of it.
again,
into the
we're
first
not
side.
X and O experts. The amount of people who played football,
Right.
who said this is a simple scheme. there's nothing interesting going on here.
Right.
Like, how do you respond to that? Because, again, I'm not an expert in that. Dan Orlovsky, Richie, that, whoever it is, they all look at it and say, yikes, same place, so predictable. It's obvious what they're going to do. But, like, no, I know.
Right, no,
but,
I
like,
know. Yeah.
like, I'm just saying that, like, I get it. The players are taking accountability. I appreciate that. That doesn't mean that that's exactly what's happening.
No. But I think what it does mean is, like, when we talk about why are they so bad against the blitz, like, Goedert just told us. He just told us.
But again, the answers that Sirianni and them giving them might not be the right answers. Everyone who watches this team says those are the wrong answers. You're saying it's all 100% on Jalen.
No. I don't think it's 100% on anybody. Like, just like it's not 100% on the coaches, it's not 100% on the players. I just think when I look at why this team has struggled against the blitz, I think the majority of the blame goes to the players.
I think when it goes this long, then that's on the coaches. Like,
that's a
change
fair
what you
point,
do
too.
then.
Yeah.
Then call your offense differently. Like, again, I think that, like, at a certain point, if the players are not able to execute something that you tell them to do, then you got to change that, right? And
Well,
we're talking about all season long.
It also requires the players to listen.
But at a certain point, then you just keep an extra guy back then. Sorry, like, Kenny Gainwell has to not go out in the flat. He's staying there no matter what to block. Like, I mean, the point is there are things called max protect. There are things that you could do as a coach to say, all right, if you're not going to do what we need you to do here, then we're gonna solve it for you.
I think
they're not doing any.
But I think the tough part of that,
run the freaking football a lot.
Right. I think the tough part of that is you can't like have Kelsey and Jalen go to come out of the huddle and just be like, this is what we're running no matter what. Because what if you're seeing a look, they see a look then that's not advantageous to that, or like, I just don't want to get.
But again, if they're not recognizing, then you can't allow them.
I know, but that's tough too, because you can't call a play and then just not audible.
I don't.
You can't take audibling out of
like Jason didn't say it's on us not recognizing things. Like Jason.
Jason didn't.
And I think that Jason, this feels like another example of the type of stuff that Jason was annoyed about, where he's like, listen, you're grasping at something that's not there. Like, I don't know.
I don't think now if someone's annoyed about the quote, it's probably like you're throwing your like. It can come across as throwing the quarterback under the bus. I don't think that's what he was trying to. I think
throwing Jason Kelsey under the bus,
or whoever. I mean, I think he said.
I mean, both.
Right.
But that's the point. Jason Kelsey is the one pointing at the mic. The mic changed, isn't that? That's all on
Jalen's
Jason.
right. Jalen's the one checking the play. But yes, you're right. Kelsey's calling out protections. Jalen's the one that changes the play. So he's talking about checking into the right looks. But yes, I think Goedert was not trying to throw Jalen under the bus, and I don't think that's what he did. But I think he did give the indication that the problem against the blitz, against the Giants at least, was like the quarterback's not getting him in the right looks. So I just thought it was a very interesting quote.
I think it's interesting. Again, I just don't take it as verbatim as you do, and as
right.
And also, like, I don't think Dallas Goedert is good enough with his words, really, to be able to to parse out. You know what I'm saying? Though I'm being dead serious.
No, I know.
You know,
yeah, I don't. I think
I don't think there's any nuance when Dallas Goedert's talking.
Well, but that's in some way I get your point that there's no nuance, but I think Goedert is saying what he believes for sure,
right?
Like, authentically, straight through, no
it might be,
no filler.
I just again I don't necessarily think that is exact. Like, first and foremost, he's implying something there. He's not saying it outright. You know what I mean? Like, he's implying that he doesn't say Jalen didn't get us in the right looks. He said we have a plan. We're not getting in the right looks.
Right, we're not checking into the right looks. Right.
So,
like the coaches are giving us the answers and we're not getting it.
Yeah, I don't think it's like and again, the coaches have not had answers all season long. Like, it's not. This is not something that's happened all season long. Again, I get what you're trying to say. I think we're taking a quote from Dallas Goedert and to Jason Kelsey's point and trying to explain something that is a lot more complicated, or a lot more involved than just what Dallas.
Yeah, well, I think that's the case with all topics. Like, we talk about the offense being simple. Like, maybe it's because the offensive staff can't come up with something more complicated, or maybe it's they don't think the players can't execute something more. Like, there is a bit of everything going on here. And to your point, like, ultimately the person that'll take the fall if this doesn't work out is Sirianni. Like, because he's the one that through 18 weeks, if the team's still playing sloppy, that falls on him. I thought that quote was interesting in terms, because I think the criticism of the blitz has been they're not giving Jalen the answers. That's been the overarching criticism.
Well, they might not be giving him the right answers.
Well, but I'm saying, like,
and again, then if he's checking around, then they're not giving him the answers. Then they need to say, Jalen, you need to check to this. Jalen, you need to do this. And this, if this has been happening all season, that you get my point. Like, I don't think it's that simple. Like, the coaches should have fixed this. If Jalen's been doing this all season long, why is it still happening? It doesn't matter if they're like, again, if it's Jalen, then why are you not coaching it up? Why are you not changing? You think that they're saying, Jalen, don't do this, and he's just like, screw you guys.
I don't know
what's
happening with that.
I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. Like I don't know what's happening in terms of why they're getting in the wrong looks. I just thought you're right that it's on the coaches to fix a problem for sure, but it's also on Jalen as the $250 million franchise
No doubt,
quarterback
he has to be
to
better.
get them into the right looks against the blitz.
Yeah, again, I find it hard to believe that he has gotten them into the wrong books against the blitz all season long, and that nothing has been corrected. Like that seems insane.
That's on the coaches end too. Like
Yeah.
it's on both of them. But I
just don't believe that that's been the issue all season long. That Jalen, I mean, again,
I don't know.
So I mean, if that's the case, then Jalen should be gone. Then we should be done with Jalen. He should not be the quarterback. If for an entire season he can't figure out what
he has to. I
mean, what are we talking about?
He has to work on it.
But that's the point. You don't think he's working at it? Like
no, I think they're all.
That's my point. I think it's crazy to think that all season long it's just been like Jalen calling out the wrong protections all season. Like that seems crazy.
No, I don't think
the blitz has not worked all season.
I don't think 100% of the time it's Jalen getting them in the wrong looks. I don't believe that. But I do think it's happening more than it's being discussed. Is the point?
It's possible.
Well, Goedert's saying it. So like I like the player coach thing. We've done a ton. I think it's not 100% one way or the other.
Well, it's very clearly
right. But I just think the a lot of the fans are like Sirianni's got to get out of here. He can't like.
I don't.
I think
so,
Sirianni's.
Obviously.
You don't think a lot of the fans want Sirianni?
No, we're on the same page with not wanting Sirianni.
Right? No, you're not. I'm saying like I think the fan reaction for the most part has been Sirianni can't do this. Like he doesn't have the answers. Like blah blah blah. I think Sirianni covers for the players a lot. Now it's on Sirianni to make sure the players are playing better, and he says that, and he's right about that. But it would just be unfair and unfortunate if Nick loses his job because like of player mistakes. I know that's on him, but like that would suck for Nick.
Look, I don't want Nick on either, so I'm with you, and I definitely agree. I think it's on both. I think it's the players and the coaches, and there's a lot of blame to go around. All right, let's get to the Belichick thing in 1 minute.
Sorry, give me a little heads up. All right, so here we go.
Fault. I thought you were ready.
I know. I wasn't holding my phone.
I was expecting Elliot to just be ready to roll, like he said he would be. And then
winter's here. Although it's a little warmer today.
Yeah, but it's been cold.
Well,
and
actually, hold on.
Rainstorm.
There we go.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to go.
What the hell you're doing here?
Winter is here, and if you had enough of the cold drafts blowing through your old windows, bundling up in layers of clothes and blankets, and hearing the heat turn on for the 5th time this hour, then it's time to talk to the pros at Window Nation. Because with this windows, with the big rainstorm, it must have sucked to have bad windows.
Oh, I can only
because so we have a basement that's livable. It's like the treadmill's down there, the TV, like blah blah blah, and there's a window for some reason like underground, so I can look out. It's into like a well sort of thing, and I would like 2 or 3 times I went down to make sure the rain wasn't getting in, and it wasn't because I have good windows. So it's just like another example. The front door, it was really windy. You didn't hear the wind coming through because we have good like doors, which doesn't help you hear, but good windows, like all those things. So bottom line is weather impacts your windows. You think about it as just looking out the window, but it really does help protect your home. And replacing those old windows with quality energy-efficient ones from Window Nation is easier and more affordable than you think. Right now, through the end of the month, replace the windows in your home and pay no interest for 5 years. That's a great deal. And on top of that, Window Nation is also giving you 50% off all window styles. Our professional installation means your windows will fit right, so you don't have to worry about leaky, dirty windows and those cold drafts letting out your heat anymore, especially when it's really windy outside. Don't wait. With 0 interest for 5 years, why not give Window Nation a look? Let us show you all the options to fit your needs and budget. It's easy. Simply call 866-90-NATION. That's 866-90-NATION. Or visit windownation.com to get started.
Tell them Go Birds sent you.
And tell them Go Birds.
There you go. And you save all that money with your windows. Bang, you're saving money on air conditioning, on all this stuff. That just means more money to go to the Bet Park Sportsbook Casino app and start winning some money of your own. You can bet on all the action. Obviously, what a weekend coming up. Tomorrow we'll have our picks for all the games. There's no better weekend than to bet on 7 playoff games. I can't wait. There's going to be so much action. 6 playoff games.
Yeah.
Still amazing. You can bet on every single one of them. You can bet on individual player performances, who's going to get yards, touchdowns, passing yards, all 6? That good stuff. It's 6. Yeah, it's 2 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, 1
it's
on
3
Monday.
on Sunday. Okay.
Yeah. So 6 games, and you can bet on all of them. Plus, you can bet on basketball action, hockey action, so much fun stuff. But come on, this weekend it's all about betting on the playoffs. And again, we're going to watch all these games anyway. Like Cleveland and Houston, I'm going to watch it. May as well have some action on it. It's way more fun that way. It's just way more invested.
Kansas City, Miami.
Yes, in the freezing
also,
cold.
A lot of the complaining about the streaming thing.
Like, let's get to that in a sec, because let's finish this out here. But I have a thought on that as well. Just download the app, and there's so much action, so much fun to be had. And here's a great deal for you, new users, if you sign up now. Make your first bet. If it's a $10 winner, you got $125 in sportsbook bonus back. It's a great deal. It must be 21 and present in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Ohio, Maryland. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Yes, Elliot. So a lot of people complaining about the Chiefs and Dolphins on Peacock.
I get it.
Get over it.
Like, who doesn't
We're
have,
at that point in life now where it's, you know what? The Thursday night games are on Amazon Prime every week now.
Right.
It's just on online. Like, like we are past that point. Like, enough already. Like, enough. Like,
I agree.
Deal with it.
Yeah. I think, like, ultimately is where this is going. It is a little lame. It's the only, like, it's only on there for a playoff game, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Sign up for a free trial and then get rid of it.
The only thing is, I agree. Yeah, I agree.
I'm tired of hearing about it.
I agree.
You know, I'm tired of hearing about it.
A lot of complaining about it.
Non-stop
complaining.
Like, it's the worst thing that's ever. Get ready. There's going to be a Super Bowl on one of these at some point.
Yeah,
like, it's all heading that way.
5 years.
I mean, like this Black Friday game, it ain't going anywhere. It's going to be on Amazon Prime. Like, all this, like, it's just the way the world's going. Like, NFL Network, like, that has the 3 games on that had the games on Thanksgiving or whatever.
I'd be curious to know what percentage of people don't have, like, I guess Peacock, maybe a little less, but, like, everyone has Netflix. Like, I guess almost everyone has, like,
Prime, that kind of stuff. You got it all. Like, come on. All right. I'm with you on that. All right, let's get to the Belichick thing. The greatest coach in the history of the NFL is now a free agent.
I think Andy Reid's the best head coach of all time.
I know.
But, like, resume-wise, yes,
Bill
Belichick has it.
So, I mean, and really crazy, like, the two greatest football coaches of our lifetime.
Here's my Saban.
Saban and Belichick, both within 24 hours, leave it 24 years for Belichick in New England, 17 for Saban in Alabama. Great stat. Saban had he had 44 first-round picks in his time in Alabama and only 29 losses. I mean, come on.
That is pretty crazy.
That's a great stat.
So my Saban take is he's the best college head coach of all time. I don't think you can compare him to pro coaches. It's just a different game.
I agree.
Like,
it's a good take.
Like, do it in the pros if you want to be the best head coach.
I actually think he would have been good in the pros. I think he was good in Miami until he left. Like, I thought he had a real chance. The Drew Brees thing, if he didn't end up getting Brees and he left and whatever. Yeah. But I think if he had gotten Brees, I think it would have been great.
And I don't blame him for staying at Alabama. His life was probably awesome. Like, made a ton of money. Like, college football is a major deal, right? I just don't think you can compare Belichick and him.
I would say Belichick is better, personally.
Belichick has accomplished more than Saban.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I think so too. But
so
I think there's an argument. I think a lot of people would say Saban is better.
So to the Belichick thing. Now look, maybe they won't fire Nick. Like, it's probably the favorite at this point that he is the coach next year. But in a world where Nick is gone, I have 0.0% interest in Belichick. A 71-year-old defensive mind, like, I could not be more out. And if they do fire Nick, we'll have this discussion. Like, I think I'm pretty strong in the camp of hire an offensive guy that's going to call plays.
Wow, what a shocker.
Well, I'm saying I switched
Elliot's
a little.
doing it again.
I switched a little from, like,
I know the
second
but
I think it's ended up being a
I
negative.
know, but again, I'm not getting rid of Nick, as we said. But if they do decide to fire him, I would take Belichick in a millisecond. I wouldn't even think twice. I would get down on my hands and knees and say thank you, Bill, for coming. Yeah. He's the greatest coach ever, and he still coaches well. It's just the personnel stuff is an issue. Put him with Howie.
Him and Howie would be such a disaster.
Dynasty.
Him and Howie would be such a disaster.
The next decade, it's more titles. And then Belichick will have like 10, and Brady will only have 7. It'll be hilarious.
I don't think Belichick will ever win a Super Bowl here.
I mean, look, I think he would if he came here.
Like, what you've seen in New England since Brady left is he's so dependent on the offensive thing.
Belichick is such a great coach.
He's a great defensive coordinator.
He is the greatest football mind of our lifetime.
He's a great defensive mind. I agree with that. But, like,
I would take him in a second.
Does it not matter to you at all that without Brady, he's been terrible?
No.
Wow.
He's had a bad roster. He had a bad quarterback.
Well, Mac Jones was good the first year until he ruined him.
And they went to the playoffs.
Right. Mac Jones had a great rookie year. And then he made Matt Patricia basically the offensive coordinator.
I think
he brought in Joe Judge.
The coaching decisions he's made concern me. It felt like he kind of got a little too comfortable and put his kids on the staff and all that stuff.
What do you think he's going to do here if he comes?
Well, I think he's going to change where he goes somewhere else. I do, don't you? I mean, I think it's a fresh.
I don't think 71-year-old guys.
I think it's a fresh new start. I think it's a fresh new start for Belichick. I don't think he's coming here. I think he's probably going to go to Los Angeles. But regardless, I would take him in a millisecond.
Man, him going to the Chargers.
He would be my top choice of anyone available. I would take him over Ben Johnson. I would take him over.
I would hire Brian Johnson. I've said
this is asinine.
It's not
it's
like
an asinine thing to say.
You're seeing
you should be embarrassed.
You're seeing
you should be embarrassed that you said that.
The best coaches that have been hired are the ones.
Embarrassed.
It is what it is. Like, we thought, and look, Sirianni, I think is still a great coach. Like, all those things. there's no question if you think the coaching's a problem that him not calling the plays is an issue, right? Like it just is.
But Belichick brings
Dan Campbell's
McDaniels
awesome.
with him.
Let's see what he
Josh
does.
McDaniels a horrible head coach, a great offensive coordinator, an elite offensive coordinator,
No
horrible
interest
head
in
coach.
that either.
I have no interest in him as head coach, but as an offensive coordinator, I'd take him. He's one of the best
all
ever.
these bad vibe guys we're bringing in here, like Patricia, bad vibe guy. McDaniel, bad
maybe
vibe guy.
to the point, maybe it's gotten a little too lax here, and we need a little toughness. Belichick is not a bad vibe guy. He's won 6 freaking Super Bowls.
Right.
Josh McDaniels has like 4 Super Bowls as 3 Super Bowls as offensive coordinator. Like, I understand your point, but it is proven that you can win Super Bowls with these guys. Like, factual.
No. It's proven you can win a Super Bowl with them if you have Tom Brady.
What we have Jalen Hurts. Like, again, we have a great quarterback who works his ass off and all that. Like, why can't Belichick come here and put those two together?
I'm saying Belichick you have to look at what the coach he's been without Brady. Like, I think that's absolutely
I think he had a really bad roster.
But that's his
I
fault.
agree. I would never hire Bill Belichick as a personnel guy. I would hire him to be with the best personnel guy in the NFL, though. That sounds like a hell of a match. The best coach and the best personnel guy. Wow. Look at where I'm at.
So you think
that's called winning. That's how winning is done.
So you think that Howie
winners.
Okay. So you think Howie and Bill are going to be in the draft room, and Howie's like, I'm drafting this guy.
I think Howie would be in charge. Yeah, Bill's already talked about it. There's already been reports that Bill's willing to give up personnel power where he goes, all that. Like Rappaport put that out. Like, let's go.
I think it would be
again. I'm not firing Nick, but if they did, Belichick would be my top choice on the market. My number one.
I think it would be
with a bullet.
First of all, I don't think they'll hire him.
I don't think so. I think he's going to Los Angeles. I think he's going to go.
And if I'm Herbert,
if I'm
Herbert and Belichick gets there, I would demand a trade.
Oh,
I think we're just ignoring. He ruined Mac Jones' career.
He also drafted Tom Brady and developed him and turned Tom Brady into
that was like 20 years ago.
But he still did it. Like,
and he's 71 years old.
He won a Super Bowl like 5 years
with
ago.
Tom Brady.
Sure,
with
but he
Tom
still
Brady.
won a Super Bowl 5 years ago. And actually, of all the Super Bowls, the most recent one he won was the most Belichick Super Bowl.
Agree with
Like Tom Brady did nothing in that.
With that that game, I agree.
That's the Super Bowl.
Right.
It's a pretty big game.
Yeah, it was. It was 5 years ago. I agree. It was.
5 years
he deserves
ago,
more credit for that one. But without Brady, he's been a disaster, and that matters to me.
I know it does. Again, but again, it's not just without Brady. You have to say what quarterbacks has he been with. He's been with Mac Jones. He's been with blah. Jalen Hurts will be easily the best quarterback he's been with without Brady by miles.
Well, Mac Jones' rookie year was good.
He was good.
But
he was still a rookie.
And then
he wasn't
but
amazing.
Then Belichick ruined him. Like, he ruined him. He put bad coaches around him. He put bad players around him.
Belichick did not help him.
The
more I've seen about Mac Jones, I think Mac Jones played a big role in him struggling as well.
I don't think any quarterback could succeed in that system with those players and that coaching staff. You think Matt Patricia's a bad defensive coach?
Again,
he had him on the offensive
Bill
side
won't
of the
be
ball.
picking the players here. He's coming into a
I think
situation that already has an offense. All we need is a defense. We've already got a high-caliber offense.
You think the offensive system is boring?
This offensive system, I think Josh McDaniels' offensive system is awesome. I actually think it's the perfect system. Teach Jalen to take what's given to him and go short and be willing to check down and do all that stuff.
What if Josh McDaniels doesn't want to come?
He's going to go where Bill goes. Are you kidding me? Why wouldn't he go where Bill goes?
I don't know.
Why wouldn't he? Look, Josh McDaniels is never getting another head coaching job. I think we can both agree on that. Like a 0% chance he's head coach again. So what else is he going to do?
I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want to be a Billy. I'm just saying.
Fine, then bring Bill O'Brien. I think Bill O'Brien's an outstanding offensive coordinator.
You're naming all these people that
you don't like, but
yeah,
I like. I think
know.
Bill O'Brien's a great offensive coordinator. He's not a great head coach, but he's a damn good offensive coordinator.
It's just okay. I just feel like.
Look, it's not going to happen.
This has disaster.
It's not going to happen, so it's a hypothetical.
I would hire Ben Johnson before him. I would hire Frank Smith before him. I mean,
Frank Smith.
Yeah, the Dolphins' offensive coordinator. Everybody's like so in love with their offense.
But he's not calling the plays. McDaniels is.
But like he's
so why
there
are we
with
doing
you.
that?
Well, he'd call plays
he's there
here.
with
he'd
him.
call plays here.
I'm sure he would. I guess.
Yes, like
but as an offensive coordinator,
if
maybe
they hire a new head
do not
coach,
need Frank Smith.
I would take Frank Smith in a second.
I know you would.
If they're going to hire a new head coach, it has to be someone on the offensive side of the ball.
Strong
It has
disagree.
to be.
Go get
like,
Belichick.
It has to be.
Belichick.
You can hire a good
Belichick.
defensive coordinator.
Belichick.
It's not going to happen.
It seems. Can you hire a good defensive coordinator? They haven't done a good job of that.
Well, I think Desai was doing a decent job until they got rid of him.
Belichick.
And Patricia, for what it's worth, Patricia's been a disaster.
Bring me Belichick.
Okay.
Bring me Nick, but if not, all right.
Okay.
That was fun. You got anything else?
Is there something else? Tampa stuff, but we can save it for tomorrow.
Yeah, and we got Monday too. Is there anything else in general? I felt like there was one other thing I want to get into.
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah.
I will say it's funny because I do feel more positive today. We talked about it again. I had a bunch of reasons like the line moving to 3.
I feel pretty
makes me feel good. Them watching that tape makes me feel good. They're healthiest they've been all season in a weird way, since
So
the start of the season.
I'm gonna pick them to win, but if
I'm gonna pick them to lose, but I'm just saying I'm starting to feel less.
I
negative.
can't think of reasons they'll win that are on the field.
I just gave you them.
No, I'm like, but those are like the line move. They feel good about themselves. Like I'm saying, like I think
on the field, Mr. Quarterback's more talented. How about that?
sure.
Like that's like your
Quarterback-
go-to thing.
Yeah. But I'm saying like we could save this, but there's a preview. Tampa creates a lot of big plays on offense. Eagles defense is bad at stopping them.
Let's
Tampa
this
has
guy. I try and send some positive. Mister, they're gonna win all week.
I'm
It's
gonna
like,
pick
yeah,
them,
well,
but like so.
but that's like you're like forced to pick them. Like I'm not picking them. I'm gonna
I know
pick
you
Tampa.
are. Yeah.
But like, why am I the one who sounds more positive than you? Who's
Well,
like, I'm gonna pick them. Like,
yesterday-
it almost feels like I'm gonna pick them because I have to, but I don't
Right.
have to believe it.
I
That's
just-
what it sounds like.
I know yesterday when I sat down to write down the reasons I think they'll win, I was really hard for me to think of some. That's great. I'm just saying.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Then why should we believe you that they're gonna win?
Maybe you shouldn't. I don't know. Like
This really took a turn here, Tucker.
because I also think like who do you think is more likely to get pressure on the quarterback?
The Bucs.
Okay, so that's a problem. The Buccaneers
Look, you don't have
almost
to convince
never.
me. You're the one who's supposed to be convincing
No, I
everyone else
know,
the
but I'm
opposite.
saying I feel worse about it.
So why are you gonna pick the Eagles?
Because I just my gut is almost never wrong, and I think that my gut is that they're gonna win, but I think I'm convincing myself they're gonna lose. Like the Buccaneers never lose a turnover battle. The Eagles are very good at losing the turnover battle.
Mhm.
The Buccaneers stop teams in the red zone. The Eagles struggle to score in the red zone.
Mhm.
Like the Buccaneers are good at stopping the run. I know the Eagles ran all over them before. The one bright side I do think is the teams beat the Eagles when they run the ball well. The Buccaneers are bad at running the ball.
That's true.
So that's like the one definite, I think.
All right.
is a positive.
I'll take it. Tuck, anything interesting from the chat that we need to respond to?
A lot of Nick Sirianni talk. People wondering if maybe just his emotional style of leadership might have run its course,
That's
if that's
possible.
possible.
I
do
respect
think-
this chat just talking about something we're not talking
Well, that's
about. I'm
they're
fine
like,
with it.
I
It's
don't
just
care
so
about
funny.
you guys.
It's like a whole nother world.
I do think that is it. I mean, like, look, I do think we have seen rah coaches. If you kind of look, like, if people, it's clearly Nick's style is kind of a get them fired up. That can wear thin. I think but I don't think it's happened. But
Curious to see if that happens with Dan Campbell.
certainly hasn't yet.
Yeah.
Dan, God, I wish we'd signed Dan Campbell. Huh?
Someone
Well,
else
Nick's
brought
a
up.
better coach than Dan Campbell.
You sure about that?
He's accomplished way more.
But I don't know. Like in terms of yes, he got to the Super Bowl last year. But Dan Campbell, in terms of how
Dan Campbell hasn't won a single playoff game.
But I think Dan Campbell has won more with
Dan
less
Campbell's
from a
awesome,
talent
for sure.
perspective.
Well,
I think
they
Dan
have good-
they
yeah.
do, but I think Dan Campbell has won more with less than Nick has.
Dan Campbell has a worse roster. He hasn't won really anything.
He's 12-5 with Jared
right this
Goff,
year,
like-
but he's been there 3 years. Nick took a bad Eagles team to the playoffs his first year.
Sure.
Yeah.
But Campbell almost made the playoffs last year. Should have. If they had made the playoffs, they would have been a scary team for me.
Maybe, yeah.
Like, who would you choose? Who would you take?
I would-
you would take
I would
Nick
take
over- So
Sirianni.
I would definitely take Dan Campbell.
I think people are, and I don't think you're doing this.
No,
you're
I
doing
would
it
keep
currently.
Sirianni. I'm not doing it. I was the first Dan Campbell fan, all right?
I know.
I just love Dan Campbell. I would take
Right.
Dan Campbell over like 95% of the coaches in
Right.
the NFL, 98% of the coaches. Like Dan Campbell's like a top 5 coach.
If
for
you
me.
get Ben Johnson with him.
Well, yeah, that'd be an
Yeah.
important.
Yeah,
combo, I would
yeah.
like that,
And also we'll see next year when he loses.
Yeah, we
Ben
don't know how great Ben Johnson is. All right, let's not get overboard
Well-
with Ben Johnson. All right,
Yeah, we'll see.
hot young offensive playground. It doesn't work out a lot of times. All right, we just saw like what happened to Adam Gase? Remember Adam Gase, offensive
Yeah, he was a
genius
bad
Adam
upgrade.
Gase.
Yeah.
And look, Mike McDaniel, like you talked about, had the biggest, a bigger collapse than the Eagles did, and no one's talking about him like offensive genius Mike McDaniel.
It's also interesting how we call it a collapse when they haven't really been.
They're still
eliminated
playing. Well, that's the
yet.
whole point.
Yeah.
This like the Eagles have a game that this is a quote unquote playoff week, and we've talked more about firing the coach
Right.
than about the playoff game. So
Fun times.
fun times. All right, final thoughts.
So, do you think dogs laugh?
What an interesting question.
Because like we definitely know dogs are sad and happy. Like you can
we
tell.
believe we know.
Well, I'm
yes.
saying you can tell,
Yes,
like, right?
yes.
And like I know when my dog is tired. I can tell when he's hungry. Like your dog like feels like you can tell the emotion of. Like, do you think dogs think things are funny?
Probably not. I don't know. I have no idea.
Because they feel so many other emotions, right? Like I think they feel missing. Would you agree with that? Like dogs
Sure.
miss things. I think
I don't
dogs
know,
are.
missing it. Yeah.
I think they're like
There's
curious.
emotion.
I think they're curious. Like I think they walk. Like my dog walks around the house and looks for like a toy. Like they feel so many emotions. But do you think that they laugh?
Yours. Sometimes I wonder how this thought gets into your head. Like how you sitting there, like, do you laugh, Kingsley? I'm thinking
Like do you
about
think
it,
you
yeah.
think dogs thinks that certain things are funny?
I don't know. Probably not.
but they feel almost every other human emotion. They feel love.
No,
they feel
don't.
hate.
No. Hold on. First of all, we don't know what dogs feel. We're projecting. We're anthropomorphizing
it's
dogs.
It's accepted, I would say, that dogs feel emotions. Like it's socially accepted.
I mean, it's anthropomorphizing. It's literally the definition. Like that is when we put human emotions onto non-human creatures.
Right.
It's the idea of like, oh, look at him, he looks sad. It's like,
right.
how the hell do you know? He's a dog.
Right.
Like, you don't. He's not a human. Like,
I think.
So
you
I
can
don't
tell,
think. I think in
but-
all cases, this is the classic case of anthropomorphism.
Right.
Like, whereas it's like we don't know. Like, dogs might not feel any of that stuff. Like, you can see a dog is happy or sad, maybe. Like, I don't know, even sad. Like,
I agree. You project.
energetic or not energetic is probably a more way to like. It's probably more like we don't know.
Right.
It could be more instinctual than feeling. I don't know. I would guess dogs have feelings of some sort and feel, but I don't think it's like we can describe it as human emotions. That's the problem.
So obviously we're projecting because dogs can't talk, but I do think like, I mean, you have a dog. Like you've had dogs, I would guess, the majority of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can and Tucker. I know Tucker's dog is in
Ducker.
Tucker. Tucker's dog is at daycare for the first time. Like
Big day for ZD.
big day for Z.
Big ZD for the Bagley household.
Yeah.
Good.
I think you can tell when
The
dogs
first time
feel
ever,
things.
huh? Wow.
And I've just never been in a time where like, oh, Kingsley thinks that's funny. But like if I think Kingsley's happy, sad, like hungry,
All right.
missing, looking, like why not funny?
Tucker, your thoughts?
I Googled it because
Okay.
when he said it, I first thought about it.
Yeah.
First two results on Google are there are a lot of debates among animal behaviorists, but no, dogs can't laugh. That was the first answer.
Yeah.
The second one is dogs do laugh, however, it's not the same way humans do.
So
Yeah.
what does a dog laughing look like?
I don't know. Is it like
and again,
like
that's
panting?
the point. Is
Like
I don't think it's. No, I mean maybe I don't know. I don't think it's a human. I don't think laugh in the same sense is a human emotion to a dog. Like I don't think like to find something funny, you need a frame of reference,
Right.
Like something has to be funny because you know what that, or like you know that it's funny if someone. Like I guess like a person falling over, could a dog think that was funny?
No, I think it's
that's
more likely
funny.
a dog would find like
No, you know-
"Ooh," like something like that, like a face, like
I
something.
feel like they would find it more like intriguing than
Yeah,
humorous.
maybe intriguing is
And
a better
again, it also be perspective. Like I think, like you don't think it's funny when people fall. I think it's hilarious. Like when it, like
well, but that
physical humor is hilarious. Like when someone like like that's.
I don't think they would find that funny.
But they might.
They might.
How
Well, look,
do you know?
Other
That's
dogs,
my point.
Other dogs,
We don't know if they find anything funny.
Well,
is the point.
but like what some dogs could find it funny.
But again, dogs might not understand humor. Like there might be no frame of reference where it's like that. Might like funny. It might not be an emotion that a dog can feel or understand because you need a frame of reference
Yeah.
for humor. So I don't know. It's fascinating. It's a good question. Deep.
I'll be monitoring it.
Deep. I don't know how I feel about it. All right. I promised an is this weird. So is this weird?
Okay.
Okay. I'm asking you. And when I say never, I mean never. I'm talking about a 15-hour ride, all on highways, like driving overnight. I've driven
Right.
through the state of Florida all the way home. It was like a 17-hour drive. It was 9 hours just to get through Florida, 17 to get South Carolina, 24 to get home, all this stuff. I never use cruise control. Ever.
Yeah. Same.
Ever. 0% of the
I don't
time.
feel safe doing it.
It keeps me awake. It keeps me focused. It
Yeah.
keeps me locked in.
I also don't trust it.
Okay, so I trust it.
I don't like. I'm saying why I don't use it. Like I would feel like when I put cruise control on, I've done it like for like 30 seconds, just if like I'm like with Chris and like, oh look at this, but like what am I gonna put cruise control and like check my phone? Like
No,
what's
so
the
there,
point
but
of
there
it?
are people. Well, it's to not have to keep your foot on the gas and have to keep this, and also it's to not have to keep the same speed. You don't want to be like slowing down, speeding up, and for people
It just feels
passing you and
unsafe
all that
to
stuff.
me.
It's supposed to be safer. The idea is it's like like the thing where like naturally like people be going to pass you and then you kind of like speed up and you're like crap,
I just think
should
there's
do it.
no way you hit.
Like, you
your
don't
brake
speed up
as
if
quick.
you're cruise
Right.
control. Like so again, Tucker, why don't you jump in? Are you a cruise control?
I
guy?
love cruise control.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Especially
I-
if someone who used to drive like all night.
That's what I
like,
mean. I'm saying
after
it's not
the
weird.
evening show?
Obviously, it's not weird if you're just driving for 30 minutes. Whatever.
Hold on, hold
It's
on.
weird. Like the long straight drives, like to not use cruise control. I think is weird. I think we are weird.
So as someone that used to drive all night because you did the night show, I
Right.
wouldn't mean driving all night. You're just driving at night.
At night, I
Yeah.
should have.
Yeah, I'm
specified
just
that.
saying that's.
I
all
drove
night long.
45 minutes.
I thought you were
at
gonna
night.
reveal you were
45
like a
minutes at
trucker
night
in
is
your
like a thing-
previous life
yeah.
or something.
I did
So
the
anyway-
evening show and then I drove.
So
18
chat.
wheeler.
What does the chat say? Is this
Here's
weird?
my thing with cruise control. I don't think there's any way you can hit the brake as quickly. That would be my concern. Because, like, unless you're keeping your foot hovering it above.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know. What's the difference between moving your foot from the pedal to the brake or just moving it off the ground to the brake? It's like the same difference.
Because I think, like, first of all, it's a more natural reaction. Like, you're more used to going from your
Not
gas
if you
to
use cruise control all the time, then you're used to that. You know what I mean?
I would guess that if you did
for
a
us,
study,
it would be a weirder thing. I think for us, we would have but I think people who use cruise control all the time, like your foot could be right in front of the brake. It's like that as opposed to like from this. So honestly, it might be even an easier motion to just go forward than to go over to the left.
I think if like you had two drivers sitting next to each other and they're in the different foot position and you told them to hit the brake, it would probably be around the same. But I bet if you looked at like how many,
you're not paying as
that's the point I'm making.
And that's my whole reason. That's why I don't use. But again, I don't know. It's certainly. I mean, I'd say if a lot of people use it. Like I'm
surprised it's legal. Actually.
But you don't use it like in heavily trafficked areas.
Right, the point is
like
you drive
if you're on the highway and there's 30
less
cars
cars
around you, you don't do it.
Of course, that's
when you
the
can
point.
just cruise at 75.
Yeah.
It just feels like a safety hazard to me. I mean, you don't use it, so obviously you agree.
I don't use it because I personally feel more locked in.
That's
on
what I'm saying.
driving
I view it as a safety
But I think a lot of I don't know. I'm fascinated. Let us know in the chat.
Well, some people probably feel this way about stick versus not stick too. Like a lot of people say that they use stick like it feels like it's like you're driving the car more. It keeps you more locked in. Like so, I'd imagine some people that always drive stick feel people that don't are less like in tune with the drive.
I definitely agree with that. I mean, when I drove stick for years, and I definitely felt like you're always doing something. You're always like locked in on driving, and you can't like kind of zone out at all. I think that's true. I think that's actually I think that's even more true for stick than it is for the.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Anyway, I think so. We're weird, maybe, or we're not.
I think the chat agrees that you're weird.
Yeah,
a lot of people saying that they're pro cruise control.
That's what I see. That's what I would have guessed.
Cruise control equals fewer shin splints.
Yeah, that's what shin splints.
Yeah.
Who said that?
Gary.
Well, shout out to Gary, but Gary needs to stretch more. If he's getting shin splints.
So anyway, I did think I was in the minority.
Would you ever try a self-driving car? Or are you completely out on that?
So I think that seems safer than
I think self-driving cars are safer than real driving.
Yeah.
Like, I think I would do so. It's honestly, it is outrageous that we are not all. The problem with self-driving cars is that like you need everyone to be in them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
But if we all just agreed to use self-driving cars, it would be a billion times.
Did anybody say
it's
anything
not even close in
about
terms
the
of
dogs?
safety.
A lot of people about the
so
dogs.
much safer. Self-driving.
I agree,
like the statistics on it
well,
are
Sam Hinkie
so
said
much
one
safer.
time that in like 10 years we'll look back and be like, or not 10 years, like in the future we'll look back and be like, we can't believe we had human drivers.
I feel that same way. Dude, I mean, think about it. Think
because
about
of, like the human error.
Sleep, this, that.
Yeah.
Like, dude, we should
car
all
accidents?
be in self-driving cars. We should all be in self-driving cars. So that's how
I think most drivers are terrible. I've said before we should cut the number of licensed drivers by
I'm
like
a
two-thirds.
I'm a great driver.
I'm a big believer in once you hit like 70, you should have to take your test every year.
I think you should do it
single
anyway.
year.
You have to get your
should do it
vehicle
every
registered
right.
every year. Why don't you
Honestly,
get your license?
You're right.
registered?
You're right. The amount of danger. Then every 5
If you
want to
drive, you can take 20 minutes on a Saturday.
He's
and go
right,
take a
dude.
test.
Like this, we're talking about. I think about how many people die in cars every year, every freaking year. Like you should have. There should be real regulations for how we use these things.
I agree with that. I just think every year when you're in like your 30s or 20s feels a bit excessive.
I get it. When you get older, though,
Yeah, when you're older. Well, he's saying every year.
I know he is, but maybe every 5 years or something. Every 10 years, there should be a check-in. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
But I think once you get to a certain age, you should have to do it every year.
I'm fine with that.
And my general thought on driving it in general is like to this point, like when I leave to drive somewhere, it's always like I always think like, all right, so like I'm getting where I'm going, and that's the point of it, and that's a good thing. Everything else is bad. Every other thing, I get into an accident. It costs me gas. It's wear and tear on my car. I get a flat tire. Like there's no other than like the scenery. You know, it's a beautiful drive out or whatever. I can listen to some music, which I could do not in a car.
Right.
Like there's no upside other than getting to where you're going, which is the imperative, and that's why we do it. But like everything else is bad. Everything else is a bummer. Everything else is a possible negative from driving.
It's a fair point.
Thank you. I know there are people listening who are like, I love driving. Like, good. I get that. I know there are people who love driving. I don't. I look at it every time as like, all right, well, this is an impediment to positive.
Note to self: I'll drive to Parks on Saturday.
Thank you. I really do hate driving. All right. This was good.
Good times.
Yeah, I enjoyed this today. All right. We'll be back tomorrow, hopefully at 10 o'clock. I might have to be somewhere else, so we'll see. If I am not somewhere else, we'll do it later in the day.
You're leaving here. Oh yeah, right.
Might be hosting the morning show, and we'll figure it all out. But it might be a little later than 10. But most likely, hoping we'll be live at 10. Either way, we'll definitely be live tomorrow, and then Saturday, of course, the Bet Parks show down at Parks. We'll be there.
Playoff edition.
Playoff edition. So can't wait. Back tomorrow. Until then. James.